Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. So thanks so much for joining me today. So I have some autumn themed cards that I want to share with you today that feature one of my favorite stamp sets, which is the Hello Harvest stamp set from Stampin' Up. So this is what we're going to be using today, and I have 4 different card ideas that I want to share with you. So I had a lot of fun creating these cards. So I hope you enjoy the card ideas. And of course, you can use these card ideas with any supplies that you have on hand. You don't need to have the bundle. But this is the stamp set, as I just mentioned, and this is the die set. So there's a variety of different dies in here. They're called the rustic pumpkin dies. And unfortunately, they are out of stock. I know I'm sharing something that's out of stock, but it will be back in stock around October 24th. Um, so if you don't have it yet, it will be available in mid-October. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. So these are the cards that we're going to focus on today. So I have some simple designs and then some designs where I used up some scraps. So I'll kind of walk you through how to make these cards. And then I'll show you my cards from this month's tutorial. So every month I put together a card making tutorial. And so if you are a customer of mine, you know this already. I send out my tutorial to anybody that places an order, and the order can be for any amount. So everybody gets the tutorial. But then I also offer just a little gift as well. So if your order is over $50, then you get the tutorial and then you get a little gift from me. So good morning, everybody. So I'm going to show you those other card ideas. So I have 6 additional cards that I'll share with you today. All right, so let's get into this here and make my screen a little bit bigger. Here we go. So good morning. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, I love this set too, Pam. This is just, I love autumn themed cards. And this set is just really a lot of fun to play with. So all right, so let me move these out of the way and we'll start with this card first because I'm going to show you how I colored my pumpkin. So the other cards that I have to share with you, the pumpkin's already colored. So so I'm going to show you how to color it first, and then I'll show you how to make the other cards. So let's see. So I need some black memento ink. So what I'm going to do first is just stamp my pumpkin. Now you guys know I love to use my Stampin' Blends. So that is what I'm using. So hopefully I can stamp my pumpkin. This is like really, it's really a tight fit in here. So so hopefully I get it on there. Yay, there we go. All right, so there's our pumpkin. So I'm going to be using the large pumpkin pretty much for all the cards that I'm sharing with you guys. All right, so what I did is I used a couple of different stamping blends. So I have my pumpkin pie stamping blends, and then I also used this dark daffodil delight, and you'll see how I did that in a minute. And then I used the light soft suede. So those are the Stampin' Blends that I'm using to color my pumpkin. So the first thing I did, and don't mind the tip, I actually need a new one. But the first thing I did is I just added some dark Daffodil Delight right in the center of the pumpkin. So I know it looks like a blob, but it won't once we get done. Then I took the light pumpkin pie and I colored in just the middle 3 sections here. So we'll just add some light pumpkin pie. And I actually love coloring with these markers because it flows on really nice. This particular marker has been used so many times that it still works, but I definitely need a new tip. I wish they made just tips. So I'm just going to color right over that Daffodil Delight that I put in the center there. So you can already see that it has just a little bit of tint. Looks a little bit different. And then I'm going to take the dark pumpkin pie and I'm going to color these outer pieces. So the shading that I'm doing, you can't do with like, the Stampin' Write markers. And I like the Stampin' Blends because you don't get uh, the lines, the coloring lines, because you actually do get coloring lines, but they all kind of blend together, so you don't notice them like you do with the Stampin' Write marker. All right, so now I'm just going to highlight some of these little details from the pumpkin. So you can see here those little black marks on the pumpkin. I'm just going to go over it with my dark pumpkin pie. We'll just add a little bit down here. And then we'll add a little bit over here. And then the last thing I'm going to do with this dark pumpkin pie is just kind of outline these lines, the lines of the pumpkin. So I'll just kind of go down. This one I did kind of crooked. There we go. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And then I took my light pumpkin pie again, and I just colored over the top of these kind of shaded areas, just to kind of blend it a little bit more. And I just colored directly over it. And you can see how it goes from very light to a little bit darker. So that's what my pumpkin looks like. And when it completely dries, it'll, um, you know, darken up a little bit. So this won't look as light as what it does. So that's how I colored the pumpkin. And, oh, I forgot my little soft suede on the top. Then I used the light shade of soft suede to just color the top here of my pumpkin. There, now it's done. Okay. And then the other thing I did with this card, since I got the Stampin' Blends out, is usually I don't cut this out until after I color it, but for the sake of this video, I just cut this out. So I stamped this greeting. This is one of the greetings in this particular set. So I stamped it and I just cut it out with the coordinating die. And then what I did with this one is I just took my Mossy Meadow, so my light Mossy Meadow, and just colored in the banner. So I stamped this with the black mementos, so you can just color right over the top of it, which is really nice. And it doesn't smear. So I will color this in. And we'll color this in. So then I'm just going to color the whole banner in. And then I'll go back and use the dark Mossy Meadow just to kind of highlight it. So we'll just color this in, and then we'll color this. So you get to see all kinds of coloring today. All right, so that's the light shade. So the Stampin' Blends come in a dark and light shade. So so you get the combo pack when you order the Stampin' Blend, so you do get both. So this is the dark. And just so you know, there's like a paintbrush which I use to kind of color the whole thing. And then there's like a fine tip. So then I like to use the fine tip for, these smaller areas. And we'll just kind of go along the lines that are already here and just add this darker. So this will just accent it a little bit. So you can see how that kind of pulls out and accents different parts of this banner. And I think that's probably good. Okay, so that's what I did with the banner. And those again were Mossy Meadow. All right, so now we have those colored. Now we're ready to put our card together. So with this card, I have a couple different pieces. So I'm using I think it's called Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper. So that's the paper that I'm using. And I'm using, for these first two cards, I'm using Early Espresso for my card base. So it's just the standard card base. I suppose I should open it. It's 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the middle at 4.25. So that's the card base I'm using for all of the cards I'm sharing today. The size card base. So this is Early Espresso. And then the next thing I did is just cut a 4 by 5.25 inch piece of Cajun Craze. And then I just cut 3 pieces of designer paper at 1 by 4 inches. And so these were just going to adhere right across the center of this Cajun Craze piece. So it just kind of creates a nice little background. So let's line it up a little bit here. All right, so that looks pretty good. So we will adhere these. So you can do this with any of your pattern papers. You can create just kind of a fun little background. This is a great way to use up your scraps. Oh, it looks like I cut this one a little bit short, but that's all right. It'll work. Nobody will notice, except for all of you that are watching. And then we'll add this one in the center. So some are a little short, some are a little long. We'll just trim it up. All right, so that's our center point. Let me just trim these up. So if you have a little overhang, you can just take your scissors and just trim that off. Okay, so I am a little short here, but that's okay. All right, so let's put this on the card front. I was gonna say maybe it won't be noticeable if I put it towards the top, but it'll be more noticeable. All right, so put this on. So that's our background piece. So see, that's why I said you can do this with any of your pattern papers. And then I have a 2 by 4.75 inch piece of Early Espresso. And so this is going to go on this side, the left side. So that just kind of helps break it up a little bit. And then I have a couple of different leaves that I cut out. There's a nice leaf image in this particular set. And so you can stamp them in, a variety of different colors. I am going to, let's see, I want it just like this, I believe. So I'm going to just adhere these two together with a couple dimensionals. So I'm just overlapping my leaves together. So let's see how that looks. And that's how that will look. And then this will go on top. So I can adhere that. So we will put this right about there. And then I will add some dimensionals to my little piece here. And then part of this part up here is going to overhang onto there. So I'm not going to add a dimensional because then it'll be uneven. There'll be too many dimensionals because this is already popped up. So I'm just going to add a little bit of glue here. And then this is going to go right in the center like that. And then we will add our little banner. So the little banner is going to just go down on the bottom here. And I'm going to add one of these leaves in there. So I'm going to add that leaf first, just so that I have an idea. I'll add the leaf first, and then we can go ahead and add the banner. Let's grab a little tiny dimensional here. I think we could put this one right on the bottom. So it's a bunch of different layers, but it's pretty easy to layer them together. And then that's what our card looks like. And then I used some of those amber gems. It comes in like a combo pack with some leaves. I'll show you these little leaves. If I can grab it. So these little gems come in a pack with these leaves. So I didn't use the leaves today, but I did use the gems. So I'm just going to add a couple of gems here. I like these amber colored gems. They just really pop on the card. All right. So that is the first card. And then on the inside, did I do some decorating? I did a little bit of decorating on the inside, just using some of the leaves and a little bit of designer paper. All right, so that is the first card. So I'm going to set that to the side. And then the second card, if I can find it here, this will be the second card that we'll put together. So I'm using, again, just the same thing, the Early Espresso cardstock for the base of my card. And then I have a 3 by 4¼ inch piece. So this runs all the way across, 4¼ all the way across, 3 inches wide. And then what I did is I used up some of my scrap pieces. So these are 3½ by 1 inch. So I adhered one to the top and one to the bottom. So I started with the top piece. Let's move this out of the way for a minute. So I started with the top piece to try to get this even as I can. So we'll add that. So this is another great way to use up your scraps. So hopefully that's straight. And if you use liquid glue, you can scoot this around to get it straight. Let's see how it looks on the card. It's pretty straight. And then we'll add the bottom piece. So we'll do the exact same thing. Now, if you don't want to use the little pieces like this, you could cut one big piece, that you could just adhere underneath if you didn't want to use these little pieces. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so once you get your pieces adhered, then you can just adhere the whole entire section of designer paper to your card front. All right, so that's our background. And again, you can do this with any of your pattern papers. So then I created the focal point. So I did another one of those little pumpkins. And then this time I used one of the floral images in the set. So I just stamped this on a scrap piece of white cardstock. And then I colored it in with the really dark Daffodil Delight. I colored the flowers with the dark shade. And then I colored the leaves with the light shade of Mossy Meadow. Added a little light, soft suede in the center of my sunflowers. And then these little florals here all around, those I colored with the light shade of Cajun Craze. So, so then I just colored it all in, and then I cut it out using the coordinating die from the set. And so I like to decorate my pumpkin with this little floral. So I'm going to show you a couple different ways to use this floral. So the first way is just to kind of tuck this top leaf here behind the top part of the pumpkin. That's all I did. So it looks like that. So I'm just going to hold this together using some dimensionals. So we'll add a dimensional there. So I like to just kind of play around with it until I get it the floral to look the way I want on the pumpkin, and then I stick everything together. So that's basically what I did. Let's see, we'll add another little dimensional there. So it looks like that. So now it's all ready to go. So I don't have to try to line it up or tuck things under. It's all set to go. And just peel off my dimensionals and put it on the card. Yeah, I added a lot of dimensionals. All right, so we'll add this right about there. And then I just stamped my little greeting. So this is on a 3/4 inch wide and it's 2.5 inches long. And that piece is just going to go right here on the bottom. So I'm going to add a little dimensional right under here. So we got one there. And we should have one on each side. Let's see. Yeah, I should be able to get one over there. We'll put a smaller one on the end here. Oop, sticky. It's sticky to me. Okay. So then we'll just pop this up. I like that. And then we'll just add our little gems. So it's a pretty simple design, and you can create any focal point in the center that you want. Of course, mine is a pumpkin because that's what we're using today, but you can do anything in the center. So that's card number 2. And then I just added a little bit of designer paper on the inside of the card. So that's what I did for that one. All right, so oops, let's move some of this stuff out of the way here. All right, so that's card number 2. It's pretty simple, but I like the yellow in the background because it just really makes the whole entire card just kind of pop, especially with the orange pumpkin. All right. Oh, here we go. The next one I want to do, oops, is I want to do a little bit of stamping in the background. So I like to use my large stamp images. Well, I like to use the small ones too, but the large ones in particular are really nice to just kind of stamp in the background to create a fun background for your card. I gotta find my scrap paper. Here it is. So for this, we are gonna stamp that pumpkin on a piece of Cajun Craze cardstock, and we're going to use Cajun Craze ink. Somehow I'm getting myself crowded in here. There we go. All right, so this is the pumpkin image that I'm going to use. It's the same pumpkin image that I used to stamp this pumpkin here to color those in. So we will just do a little bit of stamping kind of around the outer edge. And I don't have to worry too much about, stamping in the center because that's where my focal point is going to be, in the center. So I just want to stamp around the outside. And you want to kind of move your pumpkins in and out so they're not all stamped exactly the same way. You want it a little bit random. So that's what I tried to accomplish there. Hopefully I have this the right way. I should have checked that before I stamped. All right, so then I just have a variety of little pieces. So across the bottom here is where I added just a 1/2 inch wide by 4 1/4 inch piece of designer paper. So let me go ahead and do that right now. So we can add this right across the bottom. And then I really just stamped and cut out a couple of different images from the Hello Harvest stamp set. So I used that pumpkin, the same pumpkin I showed you guys how to color. So this time I just did 2 of them. And what I want to do is I want to create, I kind of want to off center them a little bit. So we'll tilt one this way and we'll tilt one this way. And then once I have them tilted the way I want, I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to add my dimensionals to hold it together. And we'll add this. Excuse me. Never fails. Sneeze all the time. It's that time of year, I guess. Okay, so let's put this on. If I can get these off, we'll put it on. So I just find it's a lot easier to kind of arrange them the way you want them, and then you don't have to, you know, putz around with it. You already have it arranged. You don't have to try to tuck little pieces here or there, if that makes sense. So then this is going to go right over the top of the pumpkin. So this is the same floral that I talked about in the last with the last one. And then my little greeting is going to get tucked right underneath that floral. So what I want with my greeting, I'm going to arrange this. Let's tuck that under there. So my greeting is just on a 2 1/2 inch long piece. Again, it's 3/4 inches wide. So I think that looks pretty good. So let's pick this up and let's adhere this down on the bottom. Oops, you guys can't see, can you? Let's adhere it down on the bottom here. I think this is the only place that I need dimensionals is right down on the bottom because everything else is going to overhang onto these pumpkins. Yep. So we just need those dimensionals. And then we'll just add some glue to the rest because all the rest is going to hang over onto the pumpkins. So let's get that in there. And that's it. That's how easy that one is. So it's a little bit, I guess it's a little bit putsy just for, the sake of lining up your pumpkins and everything, but it's really a super simple card to put together. And then we'll just add our little gems, and that's the card. It's just really pretty. I love the colors. I just love the Cajun craze and the mossy meadow. All these colors are just really pretty together. Okay, and then on the inside, I just added a little bit of designer paper. You can stamp some pumpkins in there if you want, add a floral spray, anything like that. So that is the third card. So let me move this out of the way. Oops. And then where did I put my last one? Oh, here it is. And the last card I have is just this card with using up some scraps. So, of course, when I was creating with this particular set and the designer paper, I ended up with a bunch of scraps. So, that's what I decided to use up here. So, I have my Cajun Craze cardstock for the base of the card. I'm just going to set that to the side for the moment. And then we'll just play around with these little pieces. So this is just a 1/8 inch wide by 4 3/4 inch piece. This is early espresso. Oh, I should tell you, the white cardstock is 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And so my pieces are going to be a 1/4 inch shorter. So they're going to be 4 3/4 inches long. So this is an 1/8 inch by 4 3/4 inches. And then I forgot what all these were. So I'll tell you as we go. This is 1 1/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So that one's just going to go right up against there. And then this one is 2 by 2 1/2. So it's 2 by 2 1/2. And then this one is 2 by 2 1/4. And then that one's going to go down on the bottom. So I just kind of pieced everything together to create this fun little background. So we'll start, I like to start adhering everything from left to right. So we'll start over here with this piece. And the nice thing about this design is once you get your first piece in, then everything else just kind of, butts up right against it. So we can add our 1 1/4 inch piece right against that early espresso. And then we can add this top piece. And then our bottom piece. So again, I like to play around with my scraps and I try to use them up right away. Doesn't always work that way, but I like to try to use them up the best I can. Because I find if I save them, I probably won't go back to them. All right, so that's the basic design. And then what I did is just took a little bit of twine. This is linen thread, sorry. Took a little bit of linen thread. I'm just going to wrap this around twice. I can get it wrapped around twice. And then I will tie it upside down. I like to tie my stuff upside down because the bows seem to lay better. So let's see, I'm going to move this over a little bit. So I tie a knot first. And then I tie my bows. And you guys know me, I like my long tail bows. So I just put my finger on the knot and just kind of pull these pieces down until I get them where I want them. And then just kind of hang on to that knot and straighten out my pieces. So that's how it looks. And then you can just trim these down. Okay, so I think what else I'm going to do is just add a little glue dot. So I like to take a little glue dot and just kind of roll it up and tuck it right underneath that knot because then it just holds my bow in place. Okay, so that's my bow. So now we can go ahead and add this to our card front. And it will take just a little bit to get this to hold down because we got that twine or that linen thread in there. I just have to hold this side for just a couple seconds just to get this to adhere because we got a little bit of, this linen thread behind there. So I want this edge to adhere. So that should be good. Okay, so that's that. And then this is a 3/4 inch by 2 inch piece. So this is going to go right over that seam between the two. And then I have two little leaves here that I stamped in old olive. And I'm going to create a little, oops, here's my dimensionals, create a little spray that we can add right off of our greeting. So this time I just kind of let the paper do all the work. So there's some really beautiful paper patterns in here. Let's see. I'm going to do it just like that. So sometimes it's good to just let the paper do the work and not worry about, adding pumpkins or anything else. You can just add your paper, add a little greeting, put a couple gems and some, twine or linen thread, whatever you want to use, and you have just a really beautiful card. So that's exactly what this is. This is just a greeting and a couple little leaves and the designer paper. So that's that. And then on the inside, I just added some more designer paper and a little strip of early espresso cardstock. So that is card number 4. So I hope you guys enjoyed these card ideas. I really love this particular bundle. Like I said, I love autumn themed cards. So this particular bundle is just really, really pretty. So those are the cards I showed you how to make, and I'll get all these cards up on the blog for you later. But then I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of some of the cards that I created for, let's see if I can get this. You can't really see it, can you? The light is so bright. There, there. Can you guys see that? So that little pumpkin has some embossed stuff on it. The light is so bright in here that you can't see the embossing, but it has this little embossing on it. So these are the cards that I put in this month's tutorial. I got a little white pumpkin this time, and I got 2 of them with a white pumpkin. It looks like a blob here as I'm looking at it, but it's actually very beautiful. It has a lot of embossing in it. And then I just created some additional cards. So this is my October tutorial. Has all these different card ideas in it. There's 6 different card ideas. Besides the 4 that I shared today, these are the 6 different cards that are in my free tutorial. So I always put together a free tutorial to send out to people when they place an order because I like to give you guys a little gift when you place an order. So, all right. So let me come back on somewhere. There we go. So those are the 4 cards that I have for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed those card ideas. I'll have to go back and look at all your comments because I was so busy creating. I think I missed half of your comments. So I'll have to go back and look at your comments. But thank you guys for joining me. I hope you consider getting this bundle. Like I said, the bundle is out of stock until probably around mid-October, but sometimes it comes back in stock before the date. I think the date it said was October 24th, but sometimes it comes back in stock early. So if you don't have it, it will be available this month. So all right, so everybody have a wonderful week. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everybody.